Hello, I'm MPX Toycat, and welcome back to another beta or snapshot video. Today we have a brand new beta out for Minecraft Bedrock. It's the 1.16.220.52 update. Okay, they're a headache to say, but basically it's a brand new 1.17 beta, and although most of the features you might be celebrating are things like, oh, there's brand new lush cave blocks that finally exist in this update, the truth is lots of those things existed on Java. Java is breaking new ground when it comes to caves, and it's Bedrock that's usually breaking new ground when it comes to cliffs, but today we have a brand new cave feature, which is first here in Bedrock, which I want to focus this video on because it was such a fascinating question we've all had for a while, which is what happens to old chunks, what happens to your old world after they lower the floor limit in 1.17. If you're not already aware, it is now possible to go down to -64, that's where the new Bedrock layer will be after 1.17, but what happens to your existing worlds where the Bedrock layer is at 0? What happens to those chunks? Will you be able to go below that? Is there any way to do this? And we have the answer, and it's kind of what we would have expected, but I want to share it anyway because of the weird implications of it. So, in case you want the TLDR and you want to leave the video immediately, the simple answer here is that if you have an old chunk, so again, just to be absolutely clear here, this is a pre-1.17 chunk. It's actually from an update before they added it, and this is a new chunk after they lowered the floor limit. So as you can see, in the old chunk and the new chunk, when you go down below the ground, they look pretty much identical until you hit layer 0, where the Bedrock would spawn before. As you can see, that still happens. Now you can just kind of come over here, but then from layer 0 to -64, there is a huge layer of Bedrock. They have basically made it, instead of having void, instead of having new terrain generate under there that you could explore from underneath, there is just layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of Bedrock, which obviously in survival you cannot break. In creative, you can break it if you want to, and you can replace it with whatever block you like. Want to put some stone in there to make it look like that, you can do that. But otherwise, it is just Bedrock, and although this is probably what we should have expected, and honestly was the most likely outcome, it's kind of a shame to see in the game because, again, I would have loved to see some more innovative explanation for there. And also, it kind of, the problem is I feel like this walls them off a future. I would love if they made it obsidian. I'd love if they made it some other block, or, you know, give us a way to mine obsidian in some extreme circumstances, because otherwise we just have this huge slab that exists and doesn't really have too much benefit. It feels like the old Nether, and obviously this is again, this is the way they've chosen to do it. I can't really fault them on it, but it's just super interesting to see that, like, oh yeah, the old Bedrock goes down here. And I guess the big benefit you really get is when you go below the world like this, now it looks entirely flat. You can't spot old chunks from new chunks, so maybe that's one big benefit of this system. So yeah, the answer as to what happens to old chunks is they generate perfectly fine with the new ones. You won't even be able to tell from the surface. Again, looking down here, you can clearly tell on the cave side of this update that this cave, you know, this is pre-1, you know, this is, let's just call it 1.16, 1.17. But if you look on the surface, even and also the ores and stuff like that give it away, if you look on the surface here, unless you magically find a mountain, which is entirely possible and is something fun to imagine, unless you do find a mountain right at the chunk border, or something like that, you aren't able to tell the difference. Again, here is the old line, here is the new one. You can see how this, even this little lake perfectly finished, this river is half on one side, half on the other. You can't spot from the surface, but you will be able to spot when you go below the ground what was an old chunk, what is a new chunk. And yeah, generally speaking, that means that if you want to go mining for diamonds the old way, you can still do it as long as you know you're in an old chunk. So maybe there's some weird cross-compatibility benefit. But yeah, I want to talk about some other stuff today because basically this is really bizarre, really interesting. But what's more interesting to me is it's not just old worlds we've been able to get cross-compatible, because Minecraft Bedrock also has custom super flats, or I should say custom super flat. You know, we're not fancy enough to have multiple super flat options. Again, I mean that's a lot of work, and you know, Minecraft Bedrock's got other things to be doing right now. So there is a world type called flat. I guess, you know, I'll be fair to them. They never pretend it's super flat. It's just the flat world type, and it's imagine super flat if it was significantly less super. So we're gonna generate this with again, you have to turn on the caves and cliff features, 1.17 stuff. I turn on everything else just in case. You never know. Turn on the invite only, and basically I've got a flat world that I'm gonna generate with 1.17 terrain on. And what do you think happens below layer 0, where the Bedrock would previously be? Because the answer is something, again, the end result is something you might not expect. So the way flat works on Bedrock is you get 3 layers of dirt and a layer of Bedrock, and then below that, you can obviously keep on going down here to -64 if you want to. Except no, you can't, because what you instead reach is -40. The interesting thing about flat worlds, even generated right now, today, in 1.17, again, you're watching this is this not in the video, is right here, you can see how I'm, actually, let me, I'll make it louder into the microphone. Here's me pressing the left trigger, or I guess I could show you like this, in Pocket Edition style. So here is me tapping the blocks, trying to place them. I think that's how you place blocks, like this. In fact, let me prove that. Yeah, so here's me placing a block there. Here's me destroying that block, and here's me trying to place blocks all over the screen. As you can see, it is not working. You cannot place blocks below the super flat limit, which is super interesting to me. It makes me question, actually, can you place blocks going all the way up to 3? You know what? It's even more interesting that flat worlds don't have the height limit increase either, because that wouldn't have been any more effort. And what can we take from this? We can take that Minecraft is a very interestingly inconsistent game, I guess, in some ways, but they have at least come up with their solution to the old chunks, new chunk issue. It was probably the least creative, but easiest to understand of the solutions, and I'm kind of sad about it, but you know, it is how it is, right? But I did get myself curious, and yes, I'm saying I inspired my own next point here, because this is the Seed 42. This has an amazing mountain range next to spawn if you load it up after 1.17. If you load it up before 1.17, you get a less than amazing mountain range. What does happen when I load in this seed like this, and then I switch to the new Caves and Cliffs generation? Will the new mountains generate like a big wall, or will they try to naturally generate in your old world? You know, is it possible that just outside your explored area, you find a giant mountain that is very ugly and hard to work with? And let's find out in the current beta. So I'm going to explore part of this. Again, it's loaded up on my rend distance, but only your simulation distance will load up. And now we're going to leave the world and turn on Caves and Cliffs. Again, we turn on everything just to be easy here. Caves and Cliffs, additional modding, whatever, you know, just keep things simple. Let's see what does happen. I genuinely don't know the answer here. I'm excited. I feel like it's entirely possible that it's either way around, but apparently, oh. So as you can see, mountains, actually, I was expecting a wall. I'm impressed that they didn't do it that way. If you do find a mountain in your old world, you won't get like the big wall of doom. You'll get this, which is kind of close. But it looks like Minecraft, you know, this is the same feature they use to convert old console worlds, if I'm not mistaken. As you can see, if you do explore and you would find a mountain in your old world, they won't make it ugly. It actually will blend into the terrain. Even if you, again, previously, there's meant to be a mountain over here. Or maybe there's not. Maybe I'm imagining it. Maybe there's not a mountain. You know, there's only one way to know for sure, right? I have to reload up the old file and just go a little bit further. I'm going to go to these coordinates right here. The tallest point in the mountain. Okay, so just to be sure here, about 40 blocks in front of me in the post Caves and Cliffs, there's a giant mountain. Prior to Caves and Cliffs, 1.16 generation, you get this frozen river. How will it reconcile those two things together? Let's find out. Oh my god. Oh lord, this is so weird. Look at that, the frozen. So even though I tried to mess it up as bad as I could, and I'll admit, this isn't natural generation, it's not ideal, it's not what you will be able to spot if, like me, you know what you're looking for. But otherwise, if you're playing on an old world, you could just about believe this is how the terrain generates. I think that by accident here, somehow, what I have done is I have found the very limits of how this will work. But yeah, the interesting thing about this to me is that it shows, oh my god, it's so weird. But yeah, Minecraft Bedrock has this tool, and I'm sure it will come to Minecraft Java, that basically they don't want you to be able to spot with those ugly chunk borders anymore when you've got old chunks and new chunks, and instead, you'll find this sort of thing instead. And yeah, also this means that below any of these new chunks where the mountains are, instead of this, which would previously go down to, you know, layer 0 before the bedrock hits, so let me just confirm that for you. So where the frozen... Oh, do you see that blue on the right side of my screen? Am I crazy? Anyway, so where previously we would hit this, if we go just a few blocks forwards, we'll be able to spot it where the mountain is. We'll suddenly be able to go below this bedrock layer. Oh god, it's really dark in here. I'm sorry for what I've done to you, internet. Okay, so yeah, we go this way far enough, and where the mountains start to generate, yep, as you can see, it's true. It's actually more confusing than that. You can see how it's not actually chunk boundaries it's following here. Oh yeah, this is more confusing than I was expecting. It looks as though, tell me if I'm crazy, but Minecraft Bedrock isn't even following chunk lines anymore. Like, it's not following, like this bedrock layer is happening at very weird individual block lines, which means maybe Minecraft Bedrock doesn't load the world into chunks at this point. I don't know what this means, but this is a fascinating development that I'm glad I dug into. So just remember, when you're mining around post 1.17 and you find a big bedrock wall, it means you've hit a pre 1.16 chunk. But if you're trying to find where your 1.17 terrain starts and your 1.16 terrain ends, you won't be able to very easily. And I think that's an incredibly interesting decision on behalf of Minecraft. Also, now for the first time, we can do what I think is going to be one of the most fun things of this day, and we can prove the furthest, the furthest you'd ever have to dig down in Minecraft. So obviously, we can find mountains that go up to layer 200. We found 282, and I'm sure it goes even higher than that. But you can find mountains that go up to 200 plus blocks, and you can mine all the way down from these tips down to -64, which means that as we end this video, this is how long you can spend mining down, even if you've got an instant mine pickaxe. And I think that's incredible. But speaking of things that I think incredible, this video was just a small snippet into 1.17, because I feel like rather than covering an entire snapshot and trying to get all of that ahead of you, I think a lot of things change before the update comes out. I think the core features, the big changes that they're making, the strategic things that will affect you in your survival world, are the things that I like to focus on these videos, and I hope that you enjoyed that too. If so, like this video and let me know. On YouTube, it's very easy to get drowned out by all the other snapshot videos where everyone's covering the exact same things. But I tried, I tried to take a different, take with these snapshot-based videos. Let me know if you like that, or if you'd like to see just Hey Toy Cat show off every feature in the brand new Bedrock snapshot. Why haven't you shown off mossy carpets yet? I mean, they are mossy and they are carpets. What about azaleas and big drip leaves? And the answer is because obviously I've shown them off on Java before, but maybe you don't care. Maybe you want to see them on Bedrock anyway. But personally, I like to cover the new things, and we found out a lot of new things today that I think that I wasn't expecting in the slightest, and could spend hours looking into if I wasn't streaming. Which, by the way, you can come check out now. Who am I kidding? This video will be out after the live stream, but you can come watch that live stream in the unlisted live streams playlist, which is on my channel, which is where you go if you want to watch live streams, but you missed them, by the way. They're not public on the channel because of weird algorithm things, and I hope you understand, because I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.